and a soapy landlady with a big bad husband, and even bigger, badder hair. It was enough to turn you to drink, and she did. She was Queen of the Vic, and will live long in our hearts and loud in our ears.
Angie. Angie. Angie Watts. Very tasty landlady.
You should have stayed under your stone, darling.
Hello, darling, sweetheart. You know, and she was everybody's friend, Ange.
Who pre-EastEnders was a West End showgirl.
You said to me you wanted to be close by my side.
Good Lord. Anita Dobson's big break came when the Beeb launched its first homegrown soap in 1985 and made her its pint-pulling figurehead.
You'd have to be mad to think that Anita Dobson was some beauty queen, but there was something glamorous about her.
Arthur, customer.
She became the Queen of the Vic, the person who everything else revolved around.
On the ass.
She looked terrific. She was fun. She was naughty, flirted outrageously.
Why don't you, stay behind tonight after we've closed?
Even though she was an East End lady, she was very classy.
I think you've got to look smart in a pub like this, don't you?
Right. Sexy but classy. Not many ladies can get it right.
What you saw was a very sharp, very bright, very brittle, very competent woman.
I'll have that off your wages.
Whereas underneath, she was falling to bits.
I'm tired of me, I'm tired of you, I'm tired of everything.
If you were, you know, unfortunate enough to be standing around when she was angry or when she was upset, you got it.
What you going to do about it? Knock your bloody block off. Get out, darling. Get yourself out. Get out.
She was like a bird, you know, with her movement. She didn't miss a trick.
She had to be to keep her mince pies on Play-Away hubby Dirty Den.
Like living on the edge of a volcano, that any moment either one of them could erupt.
Will you stop it? Get your hands off me. With the bloody bite!
The fights were dreadful, hideous, wonderful.
Careful, Ange, that could have hit me.
That's why people watched. They couldn't wait to see what they'd do next.
Drink.
And you don't drive me to drink either.
Well, he did actually. When Angie wasn't hitting Den, she was hitting the bottle.
I'm not drunk. I know when I'm drunk and when I'm not.
She was disgusting. I mean, you'd see her staggering around clutching a bottle of anything she could get her hands on.
It would be the morning and she'd come downstairs and get a glass and go. In that blue toweling dressing gown with a hood.
Yes.
So cool.
Did you ever wonder why I jump into a bottle?
That was her lifeline when she was left alone at night in the pub while Den was out baby razzmatazing.
Silly Karen, I sitting here on my own.
Poor Anne.
Poor Ange.
Poor Ange. Poor Den.
Hi, tiger.
Angie was always on the lookout for a stiff one.
Teach me, tiger. Go on, darling. Stick one in there, will you? Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Angie was a very obvious flirt, and I think that's why loads of blokes ran away, scared shitless of her.
Hey, Angie, keep staring at me.
You don't charge, do you? Maybe I like the view.
She was a PT. I think she was a prick teaser.
And it appeared to be rubbing off on daughter Sharon.
I had this fear that Den had a crush on Sharon.
Morning, Princess. And how are you today, all right?
Fine.
Sure?
I'm sure.
Sure, you're sure?
Whoa, mind your back, Den.
She's getting a bit big for that sort of thing, isn't she?
Over 20 million viewers a week were glued to the Heady Enders cocktail of high spirits on the rocks with a dash of suggested incest. And Dobson was now a soap superstar.
I became one of the most photographed women in Britain, next to Princess Di.
Merciless BBC bosses sniffed a PR cash cow and persuaded Britain's favourite ex-songbird landlady to do this.
Possibly the worst record in the history of pop music.
It's pulling together.
I can remember singing the song and thinking, what am I doing here?
I mean, it's the equivalent of, like, Hilda Ogden singing the theme tune to Coronation Street.
Back in the soap world, the sadomasochistic marital warfare was heading for a ratings-grabbing climax.
Hey!
You've been with her, haven't you? Oh, pumped up.
There's teeth marks.
Then you think, why don't you just walk? But she loved him and would not let him go.
He's still the man I want. And he's the man I'm gonna get.
I'm going to make sure he comes crawling back on his hands and his knees.
Don't forget, she was more devious than Den.
And to prove it, she conjured up a plan.
I've got 6 months to live.
I've got 6 months to live.
But Den soon rumbled it and sent her packing.
I suppose you think we're leaving by the back door, eh? Well, you got it wrong, mate. We're leaving through that bar where everyone can see us.
That was a shocking moment for the viewers because that was the moment when it was going to be over.
After just 3 years as Queen of the Vic, she abdicated and found real-life Hairvana with Brian May out of Queen.
You see them go to the film premieres together. Pete, the poor sod, he's stuck behind them too. Because you just never would see anything. You'd have to cut like a hole through the hair.
We were waiting to be knocked down, really, weren't we? And I don't blame them for it at all. I mean, we must have looked like brother and sister.
Anita hasn't quite recaptured past glories, despite attempts to recreate the old Den and Ange magic.
Fuck you, Terry Green. Fuck you and the horse you rode in on.
You kiss our kids with that mouth.
14 years after leaving the square, the first East End Empress was recently laid to rest. Or was she?
Nobody checked inside the coffin, so you never know. If the body's not there, maybe she isn't dead.
To Angie Watts.
We want her. I know. Bring back Ange. Let's have her as a ghost.
Oh, excellent.